Welcome to parenthood, a truly transformative experience filled with immense joy and, let's be honest, a few unexpected twists and turns. It's a journey full of surprises, especially when it comes to feeding your little one. Understanding these feeding patterns can make all the difference. Sometimes, seemingly out of nowhere, your baby suddenly wants to eat much more often than usual. This increased frequency is called cluster feeding, and it's a completely normal behavior. Instead of sticking to a predictable schedule of every 3 to 4 hours, your baby might suddenly want a bottle every hour, or even more frequently for a few hours at a time. It can definitely throw off your carefully planned routine and leave you feeling a bit exhausted, but rest assured, it's a completely normal and temporary phase. Cluster feeding isn't just something that breastfed babies do to increase their mother's milk supply. Formula-fed babies do it too, and for similar reasons related to their growth and development. It's not only about increasing milk supply in this case, it's primarily about meeting your baby's rapid growth spurts and their increased caloric needs during these periods. So, if your formula-fed baby suddenly wants more frequent bottles, especially during certain times of the day, don't worry or second-guess yourself. You're absolutely not doing anything wrong. You're simply responding to your baby's changing needs. Think of cluster feeding as a temporary phase, a short-term adjustment in your baby's feeding habits, often happening predictably in the late afternoon or early evening hours. Knowing this pattern can help you mentally and practically prepare for it, making you feel less overwhelmed and more in control. Remember, every baby is unique, and their individual feeding patterns will naturally vary to some degree. The most important thing is to pay close attention and respond to your baby's specific hunger cues. Offer a bottle when they're showing signs of hunger. This consistent responsiveness helps build a strong sense of trust and security between you and your baby. This responsive feeding approach is beneficial for your baby's emotional and physical well-being, regardless of whether you're breastfeeding or formula feeding. This cluster feeding phase will eventually pass, and your baby's feeding routine will gradually settle into a more predictable pattern again. By responding to your baby's needs during this time, you're actively supporting their healthy growth and overall development. Trust your instincts and yourself. You're doing a fantastic job navigating the ups and downs of parenthood. How do you spot cluster feeding? Your baby wants to eat much more often, sometimes every 30-60 minutes. They may take smaller amounts each time and seem fussy or unsettled between feeds. You might feel like you're always preparing bottles. This usually happens for a few hours, often in the evening. If your baby is healthy, gaining weight, and has plenty of wet diapers, it's likely just cluster feeding. The fussiness is hunger-driven, and feeding usually calms them, even if only briefly. If you notice signs of illness, always check with your pediatrician. Have you ever wondered why your baby seems to want to feed so frequently, especially during certain times of the day? Why does cluster feeding happen? One of the most significant reasons behind these increased feeding demands is growth spurts. Babies don't grow at a steady pace. Instead, they grow in bursts and need extra calories to fuel these periods of rapid development. These spurts often happen around 2 to 3 weeks after birth, as your little one adjusts to the world outside the womb. 6 weeks, 3 months, and 6 months. These are common times for increased feeding as their bodies change and develop. Beyond just nutritional needs, cluster feeding also provides comfort and security for your baby. This is especially true in the evenings as they prepare to settle down for the night. Sucking is soothing for babies, and being held close during feeding helps your baby feel safe, secure, and loved. Developmental leaps, like learning to smile, roll over, or even sit up, require extra energy too, and feeding helps them meet those demands. Sometimes babies tank up before a longer stretch of sleep, ensuring they have enough fuel to rest comfortably. It's all part of your baby's innate way of meeting their physical and emotional needs, communicating their requirements to you. This phase can be challenging and tiring for parents. But remember, it's a sign your baby is growing, developing, and reaching important milestones. Trust the process. Your baby is right on track, and you're doing a great job meeting their needs. During cluster feeding, it's essential to really tune in and follow your baby's cues. Watch closely for signs of hunger, like rooting, sucking on their hands, or fussiness, And don't hesitate to offer bottles as needed. Trust your instincts and respond to their needs promptly. Don't stress about rigid schedules. Responsive feeding, where you feed your baby when they show signs of hunger, is always best. It helps them feel secure and builds a strong bond. Prepare smaller, more frequent bottles to avoid waste, especially since you might not know exactly how much your baby will want at each feeding. Comfort your baby with swaddling, which can help them feel secure and calm, especially when they're feeling fussy. Gentle rocking or skin-to-skin contact can be incredibly soothing for both you and your baby. A change of scenery, even just moving to a different room, or white noise, like a fan or a sound machine, can help soothe fussiness and create a more calming environment. Set up a cozy feeding station with snacks and water readily available for yourself. It's important to stay hydrated and nourished, especially during these demanding times. Take turns with your partner whenever possible, or don't hesitate to accept help from friends and family. Having a support system can make a world of difference. Remember, self-care matters immensely. Rest when you can, even if it's just for a few minutes. This phase is temporary, and your baby will gradually settle into a more predictable routine soon enough. Be kind and gentle to yourself. You're definitely not alone in this journey. Every parent faces this challenge of cluster feeding and the demands of a newborn. Your patience, understanding, and love are exactly what your baby needs during this time of adjustment. Cluster feeding is just a short chapter in your baby's story. It usually lasts a few days to a week, then feeding patterns space out again. Afterward, you'll notice your baby has grown or learned something new. Your responsiveness helps them reach these milestones. Each challenge you overcome builds your confidence and strengthens your bond. Remember, cluster feeding is normal, purposeful, and temporary. You're doing an amazing job. Keep going.